We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Welcome to your weekly show for Kenyans by Kenyans. My name is Dan Kanerondo. For this final episode, we'll be recapping the past episodes and be showing you the highlights from those episodes. For the first episode, we talked about fashion and the influence of pop culture on Kenya's fashion industry. And these were the highlights.
Pop culture really does affect how I dress. You can clearly see how I have dressed. It's something that is something that is fashionable and mostly known by most people outside there. Something about pop culture, what it does, it interconnects almost everybody, and this is done via things like social media sites and everything, one where you get to see somebody who you really admire or who you really love. Like I can say that I am wearing a normal casual David Beckham while he's walking down the streets with his wife and his kids. This is how Beckham wears on a normal Saturday evening. And so because I love football and I love Beckham, he will inspire me to wear what I have worn. And so yes, pop culture indeed does affect how somebody wears.
Do you buy stuff from Kenyan fashion designers, and why?
No, actually I do buy stuffs from Kenyan designers because I like to appreciate our culture, and sometimes the materials they use they symbolize our country. Like sometimes I like the colors, the Kenyan colors. That's why I mostly appreciate buying them from the Kenyan designers, because I find that these designers also have to be promoted. So doing that also helps in exposing their talents to the outside world.
Most people have agreed that pop culture influences our youth, but is it always for the best?
I'd say some of them are shocking, others are very interesting, but all in all, if you find the right mix and the shocking and the interesting and you mix it up in a good way, because mixing is not necessarily the best option for most people, it could actually work out pretty well for you.
We continue to lose ourselves to this pop culture craze, but at what cost? For Kenyans by Kenyans, as your reporter Betty Kinano.
Today with us, we have fashion blogger Vivian Kwame. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now let us jump straight into it. Don't you think that pop culture is affecting our millennium fashion sense negatively?
I like to disagree with you because when you're raised to express themselves in fashion, you don't have to limit yourself because of a certain thing. It's more of being you, getting out there, trying new things, and just experimenting with fashion.
But don't you think that there's a limit to how much we can express ourselves? I mean, we have young kids with booty shorts and their ass hanging everywhere and cleavage, so much cleavage and so much skin. Don't you think that such expression portrays our society in a very negative way?
It does, but then again, it depends on the person. If they feel comfortable with that, then let them do it. And then also, it depends also with where they are, where they come from, like how the living is. So if that is what they feel that they're comfortable with, so yeah, let them just be, enjoy, explore fashion and everything.
Don't you think that our Kenyan fashion designers are falling back in line? Because you find that the Western designers, they have a brand for themselves. That if you think about Western attire, you can almost imagine them in that attire of theirs. But in Kenya, we don't really have an identity so as to speak of in regards to fashion. Why do you think that is?
It's because most people focus more on the Western brands instead of the African brands and the Kenyan brands. We don't want to promote our own. Instead, we are more into the Western brands. Like right now, the way Gucci all of a sudden was a thing, and if you go to Nairobi CBD, everyone is wearing Gucci, whether it's fake or original. Like people tend to promote more of the Western brands instead of the Kenyan brands. I think we should just start with promoting our own so that we can be known outside there.
So who is to blame here? Because other fashion industries in Kenya, in the world, are really making it big, but you find that it is Kenya itself that is really falling back in line. Who is really to blame?
Us as Kenyans, because most of us we tend to go out there, we tend to model people outside there. We don't want to promote. I'll just go back to what I said earlier. We don't want to promote our own. We just want to focus on what's trending in the Western countries. That's just what we tend to rely on. Then instead of relying on us, believing in ourselves that yes, I'm creative enough to do this and put this outside there so that it can be known.
So do you support the pop culture movement?
Yeah.
Why so?
Because it has come with more fashion trends. We brought back the chokers, currently I'm wearing a choker. We brought it back, we made it look nice. And it's just, it's a trendy thing, and I think it's very interesting.
So do you think Kenyan designers even have a chance? Because Western fashion has become such a huge influence and it's gaining a lot of popularity. Do we have a chance as Kenyan fashion designers?
Yes, we do. If we grow, if we continue exploring with our styles, being original, putting out, trying to get what's not already there. If you have an interesting design that is not out there and you push for it, it can really make it big. So I think we have a chance.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Up next, we're going to be having the Hyperlocal Report.
Work, especially the Maasai colored shawls, have been severally reinterpreted by foreign fashion designers. We spoke to a few people on the street and asked them what they thought about this. So, hello. Hi. So what do you think about the Ankara print becoming a viral trend?
Wait, last cut. I'm so sorry.
No, endelea.
Ankara, why it's been whatever.
Why it's viral?
I think Ankara is becoming a major trend globally and also locally, because people are starting to accept their originality and are trying to embrace their culture and grow it and let other people outside the world also be able to accept who they are, where they're from, and it's also very stylish and very chic. So yeah.
Thank you. That was the Hyperlocal Report. I was your reporter, Lynn Okello.
For the second episode, we discussed politics and how social media is misused during the electioneering period. Let's have a look at what was discussed.
During the electioneering period, there is massive spread of hatred and fear. Technology has made this simpler just at the push of an update status button.
Hate speech, kwa kwanza as in kwa hii country yetu ina lead to unrest, wasi wengi hawaelewani. One, we are political issue, some personal issue. Lakini saa ukiangalia sana kitu ina make to rise of hate speech in our current political stage. And also the media, the rise of the media, our uadilifu wa poor. So I think that's my suggestion.
Oh, okay, that's very interesting. But I think the consequences should be more clearer on those who do such things online. I think right now we don't have a clear light of what really happens if someone ends up maybe abusing you or trolling you online. So I think if the government can set up such clear lines, when you do this, there is this consequence, then it would be great.
Many people attested to the misuse of social media during the electioneering period.
My take is that tribalism has actually been fanned by politicians, because I think most of the young people who, especially in urban settings, do not emphasize so much of their tribal background or roots. But it is the politicians who kind of harp on that and kind of rub it into the young people and into the population generally, so that then people now think more over their tribe and again you see the diversity that we come from different tribes is a reality. But when you talk about tribalism, is basically then you're saying you're using tribe as a basis to discriminate or to favor some people against some other people. But I think that politics has played a big role in that. But generally people, especially urban people, do not have as much focus on tribe. Although that again, when it comes to politics, it just plays out nasty. That is the unfortunate bit, my take on that.
Okay, in my opinion, I think there should be a limit when it comes to sharing your opinions on social media. Why? Because nowadays, so many people are spreading propagandas. A good example is in the previous elections, there were so many propaganda being spread.
Who is to be blamed? The uploader or the network administrator? For Kenyans by Kenyans, I have been your reporter, Gadua Miricho.
So welcome back to the show, guys. With us today we have Gideon Maingi, who will be interviewing on this issue. Thank you, Mr. Gideon, for joining us.
Thank you.
So let us jump straight into it. Why do you think at such a point in time that tribalism is such a huge issue affecting us in Kenya?
One is tribalism is fostered by the Kenyan leaders, and they use it to divide and rule this country. The more divided we are, the more control they will have over us. Number two, tribalism is as a result of so many years of some communities being marginalized and others having favors in government, including positions, including opportunities, including lands, and all these things. So we have communities that have felt like we are not Kenyans, you know. So in that, the tribalism aspect is actually fostered. Number three is the never-ending philosophy of it's our turn and it's our time to eat. So we have a community like, let's say, the Gikuyus of this country. They are good people. They are very good people, very hard-working people. But as we speak right now, they are the most hated community in this country by all the other 42 tribes. Why is that so? It's so because we feel like it's like they are having a certain favor that we are not having. So by the end of the day, we end up hating them. And number two, every community is pushing their own leader to become either a president, either a governor, either a cabinet secretary, not because we want them to bring change to this country, but we want our community to feel represented. We want our community to start being exposed to this opportunity. So it's our idea that if our community member is a president, it's our turn to eat. See? So that in itself fosters the tribalism roots to the deeper ends. The last thing is this idea of land. Land has been a very great source of tribalism in this country. Other communities feeling that our lands are not fertile like the others. You stole our land as this community, you came and look at a place in like Kitengela. It was a native land of the Maasai, but now you go there, there's more than 60% of the people staying there are Gikuyus. See, they have gone, they have Bible, blah. So the Maasai, they feel like we are being pushed away by this community, you know. But by the end of the day, you cannot blame them because they are the ones selling the land, you know. So by the end of the day, there are so many reasons, and if we cut those reasons, if we look at those issues, we will be able to finish tribalism in this country.
But don't you think that it's a bit quite foolish and ignorant of us to keep on pointing fingers and blaming our leaders for trying and pulling us apart? In that, be it even if it is which leader who comes in and sits into power. Me as an ordinary Kenyan citizen, that person won't personally come and help me in my own house with my own problems. So don't you think that it's about time we grew up and put aside our selfish reasons and try to work together and try and make something come out of politics, not just having our own issues and our own agendas addressed?
That's where you have it wrong. Because politics is about interest. At the end of the day, it's always about interest. And there's the individual interest of the politician, and there's the interest of the people, and there's the interest of either the one who will become president or the big folks, you know. So there are a lot of people who are pushing you. And I'll say this, at the end of the day, leaders are a reflection of the people. If leaders are tribal, it means that the people are tribal. You see? Because your father will not come to your house, to your home, and try to implement things that you don't want. No, you'll be against him. You see? But we have never seen a Kenyan against tribalism and all that. We just speak against it. But when it comes to action, we are different from that. So, first thing, the reason why we cannot let our selfish interest out is because politics is about interest. We are putting these people in positions so that they serve our interest as Kenyans. If it's Kenania Mazatani ward, this ward that we are in this state university, we are electing an MCA to serve in the interest of us as Kenania Mazatani guys. You know, if he's going out in Mololongo and then saying this and this, no, we'll start fighting him, because now it's like he's serving the interest of Mololongo guys, not us. You see, so it's time. What I will say is, to be honest and blunt, you know, I will say this. Let's make sure that the leaders we elect, they have their own selfish interests. That's the first thing we know. So it's time we look at this leader who has his interest aligned to ours. I'll give you an example of politics in the US. In the US, we glorify these people. Do you think they don't have selfish interests? They have selfish interests in them. You see, but it's different from us. If the president wants to pass a bill in Congress, he will make sure that he goes to all those people and he tells them, now I want this bill passed. But you, I will build a school in your district. For you, I will do this in your district. I'll do this, I'll do this. But here in Kenya, it's different. Here in Kenya, we go to parliament, we go to county assemblies. If MCAs or MPs have to pass a bill, they'll have to receive bribes in form of money.
So currently the thing that has become so huge is that there's been a huge amount of people who are subscribing to social media platforms. But still, you find that in those social media platforms, we are carrying our hate. The hate that we are having, we put them on social media, in that we use social media to advocate for these things such as tribalism and violence. So do you think that it is the fault of the social media regulators or of the people of such stuff?
I'll say this. One key role, if you ever want to become a politician, and a big politician anywhere in the world, you must know how to handle the media, and you must use the media, because the media carries the minds of the people. It's all about the perspective, you know, the perspective. So I once told you that the leaders use tribalism to divide and rule. So where can they be able to speak to 3,000 people at once? The social media. You know? So is the social media being used to advance politicians' interests? Yes. It has always been used to advance politics interest. Number two, also the media. They are there for money at the end of the day. They want traffic, they want the highest rating and all that. So they want everything that is controversial. So I will blame both sides. One, the politicians for using the media, and number two, for the media being allowed to be used to get money, traffic, rates, and all that. So who are the victims by the end of the day? The Kenyans are. So the media is a very major component when it comes to politics. If you don't know how to handle the media, you'll never reach to higher heights of politics.
So once again, I would like to thank you so much for joining us for this interview. Up next, we'll be having the Hyperlocal Report.
Your grandpa's favorite breast since he had hair. Lots of hair. Broadway's Kateni Ule Ule.
The hand is not so bad as it has led to the addressing of several fundamental issues the society to even making normal people like a dairyman become viral. So my question for you today is, hi there, what do you think about stars born out of social media?
Stars born out of social media, for example, Githeriman, I think the fame is short-lived, plus like on the other hand, you see like Githeriman didn't do a lot for Kenya like the other guys. We see in Kenya there are people who have done so much for Kenya, but they don't get that recognition that they deserve. But people like Githeriman, okay, it was funny, but I don't think that the stars made out of social media are actually relevant. Yeah.
Thank you. So my next question to you is over there, Manu.
Yep.
So how can you use social media constructively in terms of politics?
So making constructively through social media in terms of politics. In our country, we've been in this trend of after polls, we have something called election violence. So I think by promoting peace when it comes to social media, a place where most of the people can get through access in terms of how they can go like viewing posts. People view a lot of posts during the day, so like posting things to do with peace in terms of like encouraging people to be peaceful after the election is such an important thing. Another thing that I can point out is how we can maybe promote try to enhance like a certain leader in terms of how people, it brings us rivalry instead of promoting peace first, then promoting leaders in terms. Yeah.
Okay, so that was a local report with me, Kagonja Kevin, and
Angela Monzia.
And Monsieur Kimunyalo.
Thank you for joining us.
For the last episode, we talked about business, where we discussed the effect Mtumba culture has on the Kenyan clothes industry. These are what we discussed.
Ni kitu ya maana. Ukienda hata na kamia unaweza pata nguo tatu. Haya. Unaona hiyo nguo zinakufaa. Na tena ukifaa popular. Tuseme hawa wasichana wadosa yani vijana wa wadosi wanapenda hizo manguo. Jua zinawapendeza sana. Huwezi kuona watu wa wadosi wakienda kwa duka kununua hiyo manguo ya bei nyingi. Kwanza mimi hiyo mtumba, mimi siwezi sema atiishe, hapana. Kwanza iingie mingi sana.
Sasa mimi napendanga kusemanga mtumba. Sasa hii mtumba inakuanga ya mingi. Inakuanga pesa ya hakuna mtu anaweza kufanya. Si ati hata ukiwa kuna kama 100 utafahamu. Sasa kama shida fulani, mtumba sasa inakuanga inashinda nyingi sana. Inakaa muda mrefu.
Most of the clothes in Kenyan boutiques are expensive, and okay, it is one. Okay, when a fashion comes out, it is only one. So when you go to a boutique, you find many clothes that are the same. But when you go to Mutumba, there are clothes that, okay, they are different. Let me say unique. They are unique clothes. But in Kenyan, because of the high price of the cotton, so the clothes are expensive. But in Mutumba, you can get clothes even at 10 shillings. So I'll go for Mutumba.
I will go for locally made products because I would really like to promote the local market. I wouldn't like a situation where we have increased imports and decreased exports.
So we've seen the huge popularity in Tumba over Kenyan-made clothes. And at this point, one stands to ask, do Kenyan-made clothes even stand a chance?
Thank you so much for coming, Joshua.
You're welcome.
So why do you think the Kenyan industry is having such a hard time competing with Mtumba?
One of the major reasons is because Mtumba is very, very cheap. You can get a t-shirt worth 20 bob. But if you go to African print, the cheapest start from 1,500. So somebody will prefer something which is cheaper than something which is expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think the Kenyan-made man clothes will ever overtake Mtumba?
I don't think that's something which it's going to be achieved in a while, because Mtumba, the Mtumba industry is big, and it employs a lot of people. So the Kenyan market is also very big. So the clothes which are being made in Kenya, they also still, they're in a process of growth. So it will take a time before both of them blend together and be in a level which you can say that now they can be on the same level.
Okay. Okay, Mtumba is clearly a problem for Kenya industry, those people who make clothes for Kenyans. What are some of the solutions that you can suggest to put forward so that you can be on the same level, at least with Mtumba?
I think the only thing would be in terms of taxation, in terms of, since most of the Mtumbas are being imported from outside the country, I think that one now will be a government initiative to increase tax on the Mtumbas which come from outside the country, and then we have like a normal range of both the prices which the Mtumba are being sold and the ones which the Kenyan made clothes are being sold, so that we have a normal market for every person who is involved in the business of clothes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The local industry in terms of textile and clothing has suffered from the incidence of the influx of second-hand clothes from outside countries, because those clothes are better quality, even if they're second-hand, and the price is lesser than what our local industry will sell the same items for. So local production in terms of textile and clothing is still going to suffer.
Thank you so much for watching Kenyans by Kenyans and staying tuned on this specific episode on business. I have been your reporter, Maureen Yangano.
So welcome back to the show For Kenyans by Kenyans, guys. Today with us we have Mr. Abed Oraga, who will be taking us through this topic of the day. Mr. Oraga, thank you so much for joining us. Let us just jump straight into it. I wanted to ask you your opinions on the supposed Mtumba ban that was implemented in 2015 in Kenya.
At first it got me surprised, because I really didn't. I saw it as Kenyans are going now to have to struggle in creating other jobs, because so many people are into that business, and I was surprised that so many people would now be lacking jobs, especially the youth. But we thank God where we are right now.
But then why do you think that we only talk about the people who are handling Mtumba? Why don't you talk about the native Kenyan clothes makers who have been rendered jobless and have been left without anything to do because of the coming of Mtumba into the country?
You see now, until when I realized, okay, I came to know about EPZ, especially the other one, the textile industry. When at first, you know, the ban, you have to be worried about what's happening, but now with time you come to appreciate what you already have. Yeah, so people now have to embrace the already existing textile, and I really applaud the president when he was saying the other day, that was it last week or this week, he has said that even the army garments will now be made here in Kenya.
But then why do you think that even though there are so many promises that have been made to these native, we are still finding that there's a lot of competition and there's a lot of problems that Kenyan clothes industry is facing?
I think one thing we should understand is that we are still growing. We can't compare ourselves with other countries like, for example, United States. They've been in this business for almost, I think they got the independence in 1776. So they've had a long time
to get where they are right now. So I think for now I can say we are good, but we can do better than what we are doing right now. So with the time, I'm hopeful one of these fine days we'll get a good governance and things will go back to where we are supposed to be.
So do you support the rescinding of the ban? Do you think that it was a really good move to not implement that ban?
Yeah, I think because there's someone who was eating there. There's someone's child who was going to school just because of the business the parents are doing. So it was a good idea too, but I think now we should find more ways on strengthening now the textile industry that we already have. Yeah, I think we can find other alternatives like creating more industries for the textile. It will reduce the number of clothes or mtumba that are getting into the country because we already have a lot that is in the country.
So do you think that there's light at the end of the tunnel for Kenyan clothes?
Yeah, that one, whether we like it or not, whether we like it or not, I still have hope for the economy of our country. Once the economy will adjust and improve, whether we like it or not, everything else will come into perspective of being good. People will, it will reach a time, people will embrace Kenyan-made clothes, Kenyan-made textiles, rubber, leather, and all that. Right now, most people are finding it expensive because of the scarcity of the facilities that are being used to make the textile. So that's why things are still expensive to them, but I still have hope for this country. Maybe I'll be the one there, you never know.
So apart from good governance and probably a stabilized economy, what are some of the solutions that you think can help out with this current situation?
One, we need to end corruption, because I just think corruption cuts as our economy like into half. Once we end corruption, strengthen our economy, empower people to embrace more of Kenyan products, do a little bit of PR and pushing the product, creating more textile industries, subsidizing the price. I think those are some of the factors that may help Kenyans to embrace whatever has been made in Kenya.
The last question that we'd like to ask, Kati, do you think that Kenyans have failed in regards to attitude towards their own made products? We have people like Nigerians, they're really supporting their stuff, be it from music to their fashion, to their movies and stuff. Do you find that we are lacking in enthusiasm for our own products? So do you think there's also a solution for this?
There's a solution. What I just said earlier. We need time. Things will improve eventually. Change has to happen, whether we like it or not. So let's give it time. Let's see what let's formulate where we are heading to, and whether we like it or not, and the factors that are said that can improve this industry. I think we give it time, improve the economy, create more jobs in this industry, and things will be okay.
Okay, so once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Up next, we have the Hyperlocal report, but first, let us have a short commercial break.
That's it. Time's up. Too late. I can't accept your paper.
Do you know who this girl is?
No, but I know she has faith.
Get your fresh in a brand new pack with long-lasting freshness and flavor. Fresh. Freedom to be you.
much the Kenyan clothes industry has suffered at the hands of the Mtumba. We have the recent Ankara movement, where African traditional fabric patterns are mixed with modern clothing styles to create a funky and edgy African look, and this has really been the saving point of some local African businesses. We spoke to a few people on this.
Hi.
So, what do you think about the Ankara wear?
I think it's really cool. I think it's a way to promote local art and also use fair trade. So it's not like, Mtumba where you just get something for cheap so no one gets any real money except for the people who bring it. Ankara promotes local artists.
Alright. And do you think the Ankara fashion wear is going to be short-lived?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Just answer.
That was the Hyperlocal Report. I'm Kim Chege.
That was it for the news episode program For Kenyans by Kenyans. I was your host, Dan Kanerondo. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe down below. Till next time, goodbye.